All right, welcoming everybody to another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're going to be diving deep into American politics,
Oh.
but through a bit of an unusual lens today. We've got one very impassioned commentary that we're going to be using as our source material.
Okay.
Basically, it's a rant. It's a
Yeah.
long rant from a self-described angry man.
All right.
So we'll see what we can pull out from this and see what it tells us about, maybe some of the political landscape right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I think what's so interesting is that it's not like some polished op-ed or even like a speech or something.
Right.
This is like raw emotion, and you can get a lot from that.
Yep.
You can really kind of tap into a vein of sentiment that you might not get from just like, looking at the regular polls or punditry.
Totally.
Yeah.
And right away, you get this sense from him of just this deep disillusionment.
Yeah.
Not even with like one party or the other, like with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Democrats, Republicans, he calls them all like a goofy club. Just interested in keeping things going the way they are, keeping themselves in power.
Right. It's like they're looking out for themselves.
Yeah, not for the people.
Right. And that feeling is pretty widespread, I think.
Yeah.
That sentiment that, like, I'm being left behind or the system is rigged against the average person. And that's a breeding ground for, like, populism,
Totally.
with these outsider candidates who promise to shake things up.
When he tells this story, like right away to kind of illustrate this point.
Okay.
About how back in the 90s, he lost his union job.
Okay.
Because of some policies that Bill Clinton enacted. And it's clear this isn't just some theoretical thing to him.
Right.
It's like, this is his life. This is real.
Yeah. It had real consequences.
Yeah, a sense of betrayal.
Yeah.
By the people that he thought were supposed to be representing him.
That personal story, I think it hits so hard because it taps into something much larger, like the decline of unions.
Right.
Especially in manufacturing, right? Had such a huge impact on the economy.
Yeah.
A lot of anxiety around that.
Totally.
You can see how that shapes someone's worldview.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us to his take on Donald Trump, which is where it gets really interesting. I think he sees Trump as someone who actually got things done, despite being a total outsider.
Yeah.
Like not afraid to sort of break the rules of the goofy club to get things done.
So that outsider status, I mean, that's a huge part of Trump's success.
Yeah.
This perception that, career politicians, they all talk, no action.
Yeah.
And Trump's different.
Right, like he was actually going to deliver.
Yeah.
He specifically cites things like lowering gas prices. And bringing back manufacturing jobs. As evidence that Trump was effective.
Right.
Now, obviously, the economic impact of those things is very complicated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of debate
Sure.
about what that really meant in the long term. But
it's about how it's perceived, right?
Yes.
This guy's perception of it, that things felt better under Trump.
Right.
It's not just about the numbers, it's about how it felt.
Totally. And then the rant shifts to the Biden administration.
Okay.
And oh boy.
All right.
You can hear the anger in his voice rising.
Yeah.
He paints this picture of just incompetence. That Biden's basically just undoing everything Trump did out of spite.
Yeah.
Not because he has any vision for the country.
Right. So again, this is all subjective, right?
Right.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But we got to understand the emotional logic behind it.
Yeah.
So for this guy, Biden represents like a return to the goofy club.
Yeah.
Like all the progress that he felt like was made under Trump is being undone.
Totally.
Thrown out.
Yeah. He really focuses on, the border policy, reversal of Trump's border policy as like a prime example of Biden's failures.
Yeah.
Claims that it's led to, all these negative consequences, which to him proves that the administration is hurting the people they're supposed to be helping.
Yeah. Immigration is such a thorny issue. And it brings up all these strong emotions on every side.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing here, I think, is how these policy decisions, even if they're meant to like address a problem, they can have all these consequences that were maybe unintended.
Totally.
That lead to resentment and anger.
Yeah. It's about people's lives.
Right.
This is not...
It's not theoretical.
Yeah. Not just political theory.
Exactly.
And of course, no rant about this would be complete without talking about the media.
Yeah.
He goes off on the mainstream media. He accuses them of being biased, promoting a narrative that's totally different from what he's seeing on the ground. Calls out people like Whoopi Goldberg,
Right.
Joy Behar.
Yeah.
Criticizing their reactions to Trump.
This distrust of the media, especially from certain groups, has been building for years. Yeah. I mean, social media, all these alternative news sources, it's like the information landscape is fragmented.
Totally.
And you can just find content that backs up what you already believe.
Yeah.
And so you get this feeling that the mainstream media is like, deliberately wrong.
It's like he's being gaslighted.
Right.
Like they're telling him one thing.
Yeah.
But he's living a different reality.
Exactly. And you can feel that frustration.
Oh, yeah.
In his voice. Like they're dismissing him.
Yeah, ignoring him.
Not taking him seriously.
Yeah. And from there, he moves on to celebrities.
Oh, okay.
Who use their platform to push political agendas.
Okay.
Calls them sellouts. Says they just want to be famous and rich. They don't really understand the issues.
This whole dynamic between politics and pop culture is really interesting.
Yeah.
Celebrity endorsements have always been around, but social media just makes it so much bigger for this guy. It just feels like another layer of, fakeness.
Right. Inauthenticity.
Yeah. And that the elites are just so out of touch.
Yeah. And he saves, some of his most pointed criticism for Kamala Harris.
Oh, okay.
He seems to see her as the epitome of what's wrong with the whole system. Calls her unfit for office.
Okay.
Accuses her of hypocrisy.
Right.
Points to her lack of accountability over and over again.
That accusation of hypocrisy is really powerful. It's about, undermining someone because their words don't match their actions.
Right.
It really taps into that resentment that people feel toward, politicians.
Towards people in power.
Yeah.
He specifically brings up the fact that Harris prosecuted black men for marijuana possession, but she herself has admitted to smoking weed.
Yeah.
So it's like a double standard to him.
Totally.
Whether you agree with him or not,
right?
You can see how that would make him angry.
It just fuels that anger and distrust.
Totally. And, it's a reminder that this stuff, it affects people's lives.
Absolutely.
Drug policy, criminal justice.
Yeah.
This is not theoretical.
It's real.
Yeah, this is real life.
And if people in power seem out of touch with that, it breeds resentment.
Yeah, and he keeps coming back to this idea of accountability.
Okay.
Throughout his whole rant.
Yeah.
It's like the missing ingredient. He says Harris, much like some people he knows in his own life, refuses to own up to her mistakes.
Right.
Never learns from them.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
It is interesting.
Because he's saying the same flaws he sees in like people he knows are just magnified when they're in a position of power. It's like he's looking for authentic leadership.
Yeah.
People who can admit when they're wrong.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really fascinating idea, and we're going to unpack that more in a little bit. Yep. But first, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
What stands out to you so far from what we've talked about? What resonates, with your own experience?
Yeah.
What challenges your assumptions? Think about that for a second.
Okay.
We're going to be right back to continue this deep dive.
All right. It's interesting how he frames Donald Trump's appeal.
Yeah.
It's almost like because he was an outsider and willing to break the rules, he was actually more effective.
Yeah.
Not less.
Right.
Because he wasn't part of that goofy club.
Yeah.
He didn't have to play by their rules.
He talks about how Trump would fire people in his cabinet.
Right.
Immediately if they disagreed with him.
Right. No loyalty.
Yeah. And you can see how that would resonate with someone who thinks that the whole system is just rigged anyway.
Right. That the people in charge are just protecting themselves.
Right. Not looking out for...
Not serving the people.
Yeah, the people.
That whole drain the swamp thing was huge for Trump, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
This idea that D.C. is filled with career politicians who are totally out of touch.
Yeah. And this guy clearly sees Trump as someone who was like... Yeah. I don't care. I'm shaking things up.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it makes people mad.
Right. And he contrasts that with Biden, who he sees as the ultimate insider. Right.
Yeah.
Been in D.C. forever.
Yeah.
More concerned with keeping things how they are.
Yeah.
Than actually, making things better.
Right. Like actually getting stuff done.
Yeah. And that perception of Biden as the establishment, I think resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Right.
It's not just about his policies.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's the whole vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, like just the way things work in Washington.
Exactly.
And something else that really bugs him is what he sees as this double standard in the media.
Okay.
Feels like they were always attacking Trump.
Right.
But they give Biden a pass. Like, they overlook his flaws.
That media bias thing, you hear that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from people who feel like their views aren't represented.
Yeah, like the media is not on their side.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's complicated, but this guy clearly feels like the media is part of that.
Part of the club.
The goofy club, protecting their own.
Pushing a narrative that's not his reality.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's not just the media.
Okay.
He also goes after celebrities.
Okay.
Who just blindly endorse candidates and policies.
Yeah.
He specifically calls out Kamala Harris for hanging out with rappers.
Okay.
Like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion.
Right, right.
He sees it as a calculated move to try to appeal to
a certain demographic.
Certain voters.
Yeah.
Not like a genuine expression of shared values.
This critique of celebrities in politics raises some really interesting questions.
Totally.
Because on the one hand, you could argue they use their platform for good, raise awareness.
Okay, people involved who wouldn't be otherwise.
Right, exactly.
But on the other hand, are they just using it for their own personal gain?
Right, right.
Is it all just superficial?
Is it actually hurting the cause?
Yeah. Is it trivializing important issues?
Yeah, and this guy clearly thinks.
Oh, he thinks so.
It's the latter.
He calls these celebrities sellouts. Like they're betraying their own communities.
Yeah, it's a harsh accusation.
It is. But it shows you how cynical he is.
Totally.
About the whole system.
He thinks it's all a game, right?
Yeah, it's all a performance.
A performance.
Yeah, and the celebrities are part of that.
Right, they're the elite.
Yeah, they're the elite.
Out of touch.
Out of touch.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier about how he really goes after Kamala Harris.
Right.
Like she's public enemy number one.
It's like she represents everything he hates.
Yeah. He calls her unfit for office, says she's a hypocrite, points to what he sees as her lack of accountability.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not just about her policy.
It's about her as a person.
Yeah, her character.
Yes.
Her motivations.
Yeah, he just doesn't trust her.
Right, he doesn't think she's authentic.
Yeah, at all. He brings up the thing about her prosecuting black men for marijuana.
Right.
But she's admitted to smoking it herself.
Right, right.
Again, agree or disagree with him.
Right.
But you see why that makes him mad?
Absolutely. It feels like a double standard.
Yeah.
It feels like the rules are different.
Yeah, if you're powerful.
If you're powerful, yeah.
You can get away with stuff.
And for this guy, who's been on the receiving end of that, that's got to be so frustrating.
Yeah, totally. And he also has a problem with her associating with certain figures in the black community.
Okay.
Like, he brings up her appearance on The Breakfast Club.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a hip-hop radio show.
Right.
And she was talking about, smoking weed, her personal life and stuff.
And he thinks it's all pandering.
It's all fake to him.
Right, not genuine.
Yeah.
So it comes back to that authenticity thing. He's asking, like, is she really trying to connect?
Yeah.
Or is it all just for show?
Right. Is it just to get votes?
Yeah.
It's a good question, right?
Yeah, I mean, is it pandering for a politician to try to...
connect with different groups.
Connect with different groups? Yeah. Or is it just what they should be doing?
Right, like, is it actually a good thing?
Yeah, showing that they understand different experiences.
Totally.
It's tricky.
It is tricky.
And I think it's interesting how this guy's perspective can really challenge our own assumptions.
Totally.
Whether we agree with him or not,
he's
making us confront some stuff.
Yeah, about how the system works.
Yeah, or how it doesn't work.
For a lot of people,
There are a lot of people,
He clearly feels like the system is rigged against him.
Right, like it's designed to keep him down.
That the people in charge.
Yeah.
They don't care about his interests.
And that the media is in on it.
Yeah, media, the celebrities.
Yeah, they're all complicit.
It's all one big club.
And that feeling of being disenfranchised.
Yeah.
Of not having a voice.
Yeah.
That's something we see a lot these days.
Oh, absolutely.
It's powerful.
It's a powerful force.
Yeah. And if we want to fix things,
right,
we have to understand it.
We have to understand where it's coming from.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's not just complaining.
Okay.
He actually offers, like, a solution.
Oh.
Okay. Or at least a place to start. He keeps saying we need more accountability.
In politics.
In politics, yeah. He wants leaders who take responsibility.
Right.
Are transparent about their mistakes.
Admit when they're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that resonates with a lot of people.
Oh, totally.
I think on both sides.
It's about wanting leaders who actually have integrity.
Right, you can trust them.
Yeah, like they actually care.
That they're serving the public.
Yes, serving the public good.
Yeah.
Not just their own interests.
Exactly.
And it's not just about the politicians. He also criticizes celebrities for using their platform to push things they don't even understand.
Right, getting involved in politics.
Yeah, when they should just...
When they don't know what they're talking about.
Yes, stick to what they know.
Right, like stick to acting or singing or whatever.
Yeah, he thinks it's all just ego.
Right, it's not genuine.
Yeah, self-serving.
They're not really committed to the issues.
Yeah.
This raises some interesting questions.
Totally. About... like the role of celebrities.
Yeah.
Should they even be involved in politics?
Right. Like, is it appropriate? Does it help or hurt?
Yeah. Is it trivializing things?
Or is it bringing in people who wouldn't normally care?
Right.
It's a tough one.
This guy clearly thinks they should just...
stay out of it.
Stay in their lane.
Stick to entertainment.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though.
It is.
It's like this clash between... pop culture and politics.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's not going away.
No. And it makes you think about how everything's changing.
Yeah, how we talk about politics.
Yeah. Who has influence?
Who has a voice.
Yeah. It's a whole new world.
It is a whole new world.
It's messy. But I think the important thing is to just keep talking. Listening to each other.
Yeah.
Even when we disagree.
Yeah, trying to find common ground.
Exactly.
So this deep dive has definitely given us a lot to think about.
This guy's, commentary touches on so many things.
Yeah.
Disillusionment, media bias.
Celebrity influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
And even though his perspective is, maybe a little extreme.
A little heated.
It's important to engage with it.
Yeah.
Try to understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. And maybe even find some common ground.
Exactly. Because these divides, they're tearing us apart.
Yeah.
We have to find a way to bridge them.
He's really touched on some raw nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's angry.
He is.
But his anger is coming from somewhere.
Right.
He wants accountability.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
He wants people to be real.
Yeah.
Not just putting on a show.
And he feels like there's this huge disconnect between the people in power and everyone else.
And that's something we hear a lot.
All the time.
It's not just him.
It's a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, and that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. Yeah. It's not about agreeing with every single thing he says. It's about listening.
Understanding.
Trying to see things from his point of view.
Recognizing that even the angriest voices can tell us something important.
Exactly. They can help us understand what's going on.
The problems we're facing.
Yeah, the things we need to fix.
So before we move on to our last segment,
we
just want to take a minute to, acknowledge that this conversation might be bringing up some stuff for you.
Right. It can be uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
To hear these things.
Yeah.
To have your beliefs challenged.
It can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
It's part of the process.
It's okay to feel those things.
We're not here to tell you what to think.
Yeah.
We're just here to create a space
for
thoughtful reflection.
Yeah, open dialogue.
Trying to understand this crazy world.
This crazy political landscape.
Yeah.
So take a minute. Sit with what you've heard.
What stands out?
Yeah, what resonates?
What makes you uncomfortable?
What questions are coming up for you?
Yeah, hold on to those thoughts.
Yeah.
Because in our final segment, we're going to be talking about a really interesting question.
It builds on everything we've talked about.
Yeah, it makes you think about the role of these individual voices.
Yeah.
How do they shape the conversation?
Yeah.
How do we balance passion with reason?
Right. How do we actually have productive conversations?
Exactly. It's not easy.
No, it's not. Especially these days. Yeah, but it's important.
It's essential.
So we've spent a lot of time with this angry man.
Yeah.
Hearing his take on things.
Yeah. Very passionate.
Yeah. He's frustrated.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust the system. Feels like no one's listening to him.
Right. Like his voice doesn't matter.
But his story, I mean, connects to a lot of what we see happening out there.
It's like he's a microcosm of a much bigger trend.
Totally.
This feeling that regular people are getting left behind.
Yeah.
The system's broken.
That the institutions don't work.
Yeah. And that leads to distrust.
Yeah.
Division.
And that's why we wanted to leave you with this question.
Okay.
How much weight should we give to individual voices like this?
To one angry guy ranting online?
Yeah. Yeah, like he's clearly passionate.
Right.
But is he representative
of a larger group?
A larger sentiment out there.
Yeah. And how do we even have these conversations where there's so much emotion, but we also need to be rational?
We need to be grounded. Yeah.
It's tricky.
It is. It is.
I mean, look at social media. Yeah. One person's voice can reach millions.
Yeah, it can be really powerful.
It can drive change.
Yeah.
But it can also lead to, echo chambers, misinformation.
If it's not grounded in facts.
Right.
And a willingness to actually have a real conversation.
A good faith dialogue.
Yeah, and, he makes some pretty strong claims.
Yeah.
Some might even say, like, a little out there.
But are they totally baseless?
Right. Like, is there something there?
Is there a kernel of truth?
Yeah, even if it's wrapped up in a lot of anger.
It's easy to just dismiss someone when they're angry.
Yeah, to shut it out.
But what if that anger is coming from a real place of pain?
Right, of injustice.
So we have to try to separate the emotion
from the substance.
Yeah, see if there's something we can learn from it.
And one thing's for sure. Yeah. He does not trust institutions.
At all.
Government, media, celebrities.
He sees them all as part of the problem.
Yeah, the goofy club.
Right, protecting their own power.
Not serving the people.
And again, we see this a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This gap between the people and the people in charge.
And the question is, how do we bridge that?
Right. How do we make people feel heard?
Yeah. How do we build trust again?
How do we make sure everyone's voice matters?
And that's not an easy question.
No.
It's a challenge that goes beyond just one election.
Or one party.
Or one angry man.
It's about the whole system.
Yeah. And it's about how we talk to each other, how we listen.
How we find common ground.
And that's where you come in.
Our listeners.
Yeah, you listening right now.
Because you're the ones who make democracy work.
Be informed.
Yeah.
Engage in the issues.
Have those tough conversations.
Even when it's hard.
Yeah, even when you disagree.
Because this angry man, he might have been a little rough around the edges.
Right, not always the most eloquent.
But he raised some really important points.
Yeah, about accountability.
Authenticity.
Trust.
And these are things we all need to be thinking about.
If we want a better future.
It's not about agreeing with him on everything.
Right.
It's about listening.
Trying to understand.
And using that understanding to make things better.
To move forward together.
So keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.
And we'll see you next time.